Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now we're joined by head coach Phil Neville ahead of the match against NYCFC this weekend. Phil, you want to get us started with opening remarks?
Yeah, afternoon, everyone. Sorry, a bit late.
Recording in progress.
We just come out of a late meeting. Look, obviously, it's another big 3-game week for us. 2 at home, 1 away against three teams that are all important in different ways. New York City, I think, one of the best footballing sides in the old conference, who are obviously had a great season, and at home, is it 4-0, 5-0 the last 2 games at home, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we know that this is going to be one of our toughest games that we've played in this season so far. And then obviously Chicago and Toronto have different importance for different reasons, because they're in and around us. We're all trying to climb the same ladder, and obviously wins in those games would be massively important. So we know that this is going to be a massive 3-game week for us, and what I'm looking for is similar attitudes, similar performance levels, similar drive and determination to get the points like we had in our last 3-game week last week, which I thought it was probably one of the, in terms of consistency and performances, the 3 games probably reached the level of where we want them to be. Still massively room for improvement in certain areas, but we attacked this 3-game week with virtually, apart from Jovin Jones, maybe Robbie Robinson. Saturday might come too early for him, although he's back in training today. With a fully fit squad, everyone really hungry to get in that starting 11, and I think for the first time this season, picking the starting 11 is going to be massively difficult for me in all 3 games, and that's exactly the equation and the problem that I want as a head coach. So we're in a good headspace. The players are rested after a taxing week last week, and the confidence and the belief in the squad, in the club, is now beginning to get to the levels where we can start looking forward and not back.
Thank you, Phil. We'll get started with questions now. We'll start with Mike DiPasquale. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Ralph. Good afternoon, Coach.
Hi, Mike.
I know that you had said in the midst of the 6-game losing streak that you wanted the boys, in your words, to show some heart.
Yeah.
The 4-game unbeaten streak right now, you put yourselves in a position where you can make that climb. And as you mentioned, 2 of the next 3 games are at home. What have you noticed about this team, specifically this week, of the boys on the practice field? What have you noticed?
Well, I think confidence and belief is the big thing, really, and the belief not just in what we're doing, but the belief in each other as a team, starting to believe and trust each other. And I felt that maybe 3-4 weeks ago we still had a team of players that would probably be, working really hard, giving their absolute all, but as individuals, and not realising the importance of the team. The team is the most important thing, and I think we've been trying to build on that all season, and there's a couple of things that we've implemented now in terms of the last month that have helped that. But ultimately, I think the New England game was a watershed moment in terms of it couldn't really get much worse than that for me as a head coach and for a set of players. And we had to make a commitment to each other in terms of the importance, the severity of that situation, and we had to come together. And in that situation, 2 things can happen. You can either become wider apart and more distant to each other, or you can come together, come closer, and be stronger as a pack. And what we started to do is probably as a team stop blaming and start fixing. And we've started to fix, we've started to play, we've started to be a team. And, we've not really focused that much on the football aspect. I've got to say, over the last 4 weeks, what I've drummed into them is the unbelievable importance of teamwork, togetherness, the fight, the ability to run for each other, cover for each other, sprint forward, sprint back for each other. Fundamentally, those are the things that help the teams that I played in, help the teams that I saw and played against, help the teams that I've managed against and managed be successful. And the football was always going to be a byproduct of that. And what we're seeing us better controlling games, better style of football, and a better identity, because we got the fundamentals right in our team. And that's the pleasing thing. This team have shown courage. This team have shown that they can now start to take hits and bounce back. And, I don't think there's many teams in the whole of the MLS that have took as many hits as us, both on and off the field. So we're a team that's probably mentally really strong, and that needs that, and that's what I've told the players.
Next two questions.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, Mike.
Next two questions, we'll go to Franco and then to Salvador. Go ahead, Franco.
Thank you, Rafa. Hey, Phil, I just wanted to ask you what you expect from this weekend's game against New York City FC. They had a midweek game, international match, so they'll be on shorter rest, but they are one of the more potent attacks in Major League Soccer. I think they're third right now in goals scored. So what kind of game do you expect away from home against them? And what is Robbie dealing with right now, Phil? Thank you.
Robbie's dealing with a bang to the head. He's gone through the MLS concussion protocol. He's out of that now, so that's good. So it's good he's back in training with us today in a light session. So we have, with any concussion injury, you've got to take every precaution, and we're not going to take any risk with that. So it's good to have him back. In terms of this weekend, like I said before, I think the style in which New York City play, I think is as good as any style in the league. They have a really good fluid system. They've got a good, young, hungry team. Their front four, maybe five with one of the midfield players, I think is flexible, adaptable. They've got good imagination. And they pose a real threat. They pose a real threat in terms of sort of like goal-scoring opportunities, imagination to play and be off the cuff. And like I say, I think in terms of the teams that I've seen, they're without doubt the best footballing side that I've seen in our conference in terms of the style of football that they play. Obviously really well coached, and I think this is probably going to be one of our toughest games in terms of where we're at. It'll be a good yardstick, be a good measurement for us, but we go there full of confidence, and we go there with belief and a real momentum.
Go ahead, Salvador.
Thank you, Rafa. Hi, Phil. How are you?
Hi, Salvador.
Nice to see you. Phil, which can be the key against New York City FC out of home, considering that there are 4 games with a loss of Inter Miami out of home? Thank you.
Well, I suppose from my point of view, I've got to make sure that I select and pick the right team and system. We've gone with the 3 at the back in the last few games, or 5 at the back in the last few games with different personnel. I've got to say, I think in terms of New York's system, it's relatively been consistent in terms of the 4-2-3-1. So it might be that we match up their system and we tweak our system a little bit. Going back to the Philadelphia game and the Montreal game where we played 4 at the back, I do think it's a system that the players enjoy playing. So we've got to make sure we pick the right system and the right personnel, thinking about the 3 games in the week. But our focus is purely on maintaining our levels. We're nowhere near where we want to be. And we're not at the point yet where we can start getting carried away with 2 victories and a couple of draws and a 4-game unbeaten run. That is nowhere near the level. It's the first message I gave them when they came back into work on Tuesday was, well done. The work has been good, but ultimately you look at the league table, we're nowhere near where this football club needs to be. So don't start patting yourselves on the back now. Don't start getting carried away. Keep your feet firmly on the ground. The attitude, the commitment, the desire and the determination has to be even more than what we've shown in the last 4 games to get anything out of these games this week. 3 teams that are all in good form. Chicago and Toronto are in good form as well. So I think these 3 games will be more difficult than the 3 games we had last week. So there's no getting carried away. We just need to make sure that we manage the week and perform the same way we did in the previous 4 games.
Next 2 questions, we'll go to Fernando and then Mike to Mike.
You're on mute, Fernando, I think.
Fernando. All right, we'll go to Mike.
Thank you, Rafa. Phil, you mentioned in your opening remarks that these next 3 games, you're going to have some decisions to make as far as the 11 players you put out there. Besides, if players are healthy, are you going to be looking for that, in your words, that you use a lot, desire and hunger, understanding you could pick up some big points here and you could be right back in this by the end of the 3rd game you guys play?
Yeah, I don't think we're in a. I think I said before, Mike. I don't think we're in a stage where we can start taking risks with starting 11s. We'll be playing the best team in every game. We just need to make sure that during the games or in certain games, we just pick the right players with the right profile. You think about the squad that we've got at the moment. We've got 2 players for most positions. You think of whichever system we play, we've got Robbie, Pizarro, Fede, we've got Lewis, we've got Indiana. Breck Shea, we've got lots of options, Carranza and Higuain. I think if we play any of those combinations, I don't think it would drop the level of quality. So we just need to make sure that we pick the right team with the best team with the right players for that game. And ultimately, you can't pick the same 11 for 3 games running. It's impossible, particularly in this heat. So there will be tweaks and changes here and there, but ultimately, I'll pick the best team in every game. I've told the players that we've not got enough. We've not got enough money in the bank at this moment in time to start taking any kind of risks. And we'll be going 100% full tilt in every single game. That means that some players will have to go in all 3 games, and that's what they're all hungry to do.
Last 2 questions, Franco, and then we'll try again with Fernando. Go ahead, Franco.
Thanks, Rafa. Phil, if I could ask you 2 more. One is on set pieces, and I know this weekend will mark the halfway point of the season for you guys. I know I've asked you this throughout the course of the year. You said you guys work on them. You guys have been improving on them from what you've seen. But at this point, there's still only 1 goal off of the set piece. Why is it that you guys are not scoring from set pieces? Why is it that you guys are not doing a good enough job? Is it the delivery? Is it the runs? Is it the timing of both? What do you attribute that to? And the second question I'll ask after, if that's okay.
Ask the second one as well, Franco, and I'll answer them both.
Okay. The second one's on the team in general, right? The team. A couple of weeks ago, actually, it's not about the team in general. Sorry, it was a couple of weeks ago. We spoke, maybe 3 weeks ago. We spoke about Rodolfo, and you talked about how at that point he had been playing with a smile on his face again. The team had kind of come around him a bit more. Why was that not the case with him prior to that? What changed for him there? We'll have a chance to speak to him later. That's why I'm asking the question.
Well, I think with Rodolfo, the environment has to be right around him. The results and the environment have to be right. His body has to be right. Now I think he's at his fittest ever moment. I don't think he was like that at the start of the season. Maybe a broken pre-season. Being selected for the Mexico team for the Gold Cup helped him massively as well. He's dead proud of his playing for his country. It's actually I'm late for the Mexican lunch that we've got on for him today, so better be quick here. So I think fitness, I think enjoyment, I think belief, I think the system that we're playing now suits him. I thought he was outstanding again against Nashville. Now I think the only thing that's missing from his game is goals. We need goals from him. And I think that's coming. I've got every confidence that the goals are coming. Once he starts scoring goals, I think it'll be lift off for him. So we're really happy. We're really happy with where Rodolfo's at. I think he's now at that point. Like the rest of the team, I think Rodolfo's probably mood and performances have mirrored the rest of the team. They're at the point now where they have to perform, and he is doing. And I'm really proud with and happy with the way that he's working. And in terms of the set plays, yes, we do need to be better. Yes, we do work hard on it. And the one thing I can promise you, Franco, so you don't worry, is that we will start scoring from set plays. I've told particularly the centre-backs that they need to start attacking the ball better. I want 3, 4, 5 goals from Nico, from Ryan, from LGP. I want by the end of the season them to have at least 5 goals between them. Because if we score more goals, if we need to contribute more goals to this team, which is one of our weakest areas, we need goals from everyone else apart from Gonzalo. We need contributions from everyone, from Lewis, from Breck, from Rodolfo, from Fede, from the 2 centre-backs, 3 centre-backs, 4 centre-backs. So that's the area that we're working on, and I'm very confident that over the next week you'll finally get the goal that you want from that set play, Franco.
Last question, Fernando.
Hi, okay. How you doing, Phil?
Hi,
how are you?
Fernando.
Pretty good. One quick question, because you said it twice during the initial remarks and later on. Now it becomes for you one of those healthy problems for coaches like Pochettino has now. So many players that they want to be in the starting 11. We know how the players feel. How do you handle that pressure? Because I remember that at the beginning of the season, you told us that you're taking all these things at home. You were discussing with your wife these things. How do you handle this now? So many players fit and ready to be in the starting 11.
Well, I think one brilliant thing for a coach is the fact that you can use 5 subs. So ultimately, you're picking 11 players, but you've also got another 5 that you know will probably more often than not get onto the field. So, 16, 17 players are going to be used every single week. And I've got to say that it is a squad game. Indiana comes on, Fede comes on at the weekend against Nashville and has a massive, massive impact. Pizarro comes on in Orlando, has a massive impact. So to keep everybody feeling as if they're contributing, the 5 sub rules really helps. But ultimately, I think from a manager at the start of the season, you want to keep everybody at the same level. But now we're at the point of the season where we've not, we're at the point where we have to put the full gas down. There's going to be lots and lots of chances for people to have moments in games, opportunities to start, where they're going to have to be ready. It's not a time now to feel sorry for people that are not in the starting 11. They've all got to be ready. They've all got to be fighting for the same cause. They've all got to be ready to come on and do what Fede in Indiana did or Pizarro did against Orlando. Because ultimately, the 11 that I pick on Sunday won't be the same 11 that I pick against Toronto. So every one of them. And my experience in my career was, and I probably was probably really good at it because I was sub a lot of the time, is that you've got to be ready for that moment. Because a couple of times in my career I didn't prepare right, and when I got the chance to go in and I didn't perform, it was my fault. So I've told them they've got to prepare right. They've got to be ready for that moment. And that is part of management. I want a big squad. We want competition for places. It heightens the performance levels, and with that comes the decision to pick 11 players. But I think now in the modern world, the amount of games that we're playing with sports science, it's become an 18, 19 man type squad rotation system anyway. So everyone's going to get their opportunities. I'm a manager that likes to rotate and keeps things fresh, and they've all got to be ready, Fernando.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Phil.
Mexican food time.